He likes Twilight. Getting back on the bandwagon, here is our third installment. This time I'm eating delicious seaweed. From our last video, we've got everything primed. Also, during our last video we had all the paints selected. And we're ready for base coating. So I definitely have my airbrush in overdrive. First, these are going to be undercoated gloss black. The primer on these guys aren't uniformed enough, so I'm going to coat them in grey before I mask them and start pre and post shading. And this mod's just going to get its base coat and that's it. And this mob just dual code colours. Majority of the undercoats will be lacquers. The black is the Alclad 2 gloss black for the metallics. The rest is going to be my special mixture of the grey and white Gundam colours. I'm using very strong paints as an undercoat because I will be doing a lot of masking and to make sure I don't lift any paint. All pieces 100% undercoated. First, metallics. Now these are going to stay as is. I used Alclad, so they're extra shiny for extra points. These two pieces are acrylics, and since everything's going to be masked over, I put a clear coat on top to protect the undercoat. These two are lacquer, so that won't require anything. After a day drying, I will put some masking tape on. This project will require a lot of custom masking pieces, so I'm using the Tamiya brand, and I cut the shapes out using a self-healing mat and a very sharp blade. For this particular example is a circular shape, so I'm using a template and cutting it very carefully. I've done a little bit of masking, just a touch of liquid mask and mostly masking tape to capture some of these squares. We're going to be doing the next coat fairly soon. A reminder, the two blocks to the left is lacquer and the right is acrylic. We have outlined all the edges in black, which is the standard for pre-shading. Just a closer look. I'm going to colour the greyer part with white, leaving the black edge, and shade on very lightly the overall piece to give it a faded, dark-edged look. We've got our base coat down, and this is the result of pre-shading. Next we're going to top coat them and mask again. Now looking at masking, the blue piece around here, we've got white around here and white for that little bit there. So I've masked it off for that bit for the meantime, and later on we'll go back and do the front part. Now having a look at the white pieces, I have masked these tiny squares everywhere. In a very similar fashion, that copies the white detail across here. The big surprise is I'm going to be spraying smoke over the pre-shaded white, and this should create a slightly darkened effect, and once the masking is removed I'm going to have all these little whiter squares. Hopefully it'll work out. I've sprayed on the smoke quite thickly, as you can see, and hopefully when I remove the masking we're going to have a lot of little squares. Now the smoke that I sprayed is far too dark and a tad rough. Now it's a good thing that I've did it far too dark, because I can dust on some white and make it appear to look like a shading effect. A bit of dusting and post shading has really done the trick. and I'm back on the bowl. All components are painted, detailed by hand paint, and either a sludge or pin wash applied. Back again to our reference material, and if we have a look at some of these components here, they're markings, which can only be achieved through decals. So I've got some very similar looking decals out of some spare sheets and decals I've collected over the years. Just finished the sub-assembly process. Some pieces super glued together, and a little bit of decaling has been done so far to mimic the reference material. I don't feel this is enough, and will apply more detailed decals on darker surfaces. This concludes the work in progress video series. As soon as Gunpla Nut finishes with his model, the two kits will be released simultaneously on YouTube and will await the judges'